Big news has been dropping in the last 2 days in particular, today and yesterday, on Donald Trump's pointless war he started for no reason with Iran. Everybody has been calling this out. Both MAGA, in a large part, has been calling it out, as well as liberals, and it's ironically leftists that are kinda, same energy as always, I suppose. Like hardcore, tanky type leftists. But even MAGA is upset about this. Specifically, conflict with Iran has always been seen as something, from many Trump supporters, as a massive waste of American resources and potentially the thing that would start World War III. If you guys don't remember, it was a big talking point among Republicans that Hillary Clinton and Biden and Harris were deranged about Russia and its allies, and that their anti-Russian politics might lead us into World War III. They were really heavy-handed on this one with Hillary Clinton. If you were around back then and you remember the memes and the talking points about how Hillary would get us into war with Russia. And so, Republicans, they've never wanted to go to war. Well, I shouldn't say Republicans. MAGA types, the America First types. Few of them, if any, ever wanted to go to war with Iran. It's not exactly a cakewalk, it's not like pulling up on Afghanistan where we still had to spend 22 years and occupying the country, all right? That was light work compared to what going to war with Iran would be. And now, we're learning that the hard way. Or I should say Donald Trump is. We got some big news yesterday. It kind of, I think, perfectly summarizes how this is going for Donald Trump so far. That is him raising the max enlistment age. I think it was from 36 up to 42. Yeah, guys, I don't think the war's going too good. I think Trump might be regretting this a little bit. If you end up enjoying this segment, make sure to leave a like and a comment down below. I really do appreciate it. Help us to fight that chud algorithm run by a CEO that is literally in the Epstein files, and give us a fighting chance in that algorithm. But with that said, let's get right into it, because 5 hours and 30 minutes ago, we got a new headline. As focus remains on Iran, framework to build on Gaza ceasefire takes a step forward. So apparently, while this is all happening, supposedly we are actually getting closer to another Gaza ceasefire. I'm going to be honest, Israel just breaks it every time at this point. It'll either be Israel or Hamas that'll break it within a week. We've had countless ceasefires breaking within a week. I'm not going to refrain from celebrating them when they do happen, but I'm also not going to delude myself into thinking, well, this one's definitely going to last, Then 5 hours and 20 minutes ago, Iran responds to U.S. proposal with its own conditions for ending the war, state media reports. That's right, guys. Oh, man, Here's another bit of news that I think perfectly summarizes how the war's going for Donald Trump and America right now. And that is the news that Donald Trump proposed a ceasefire between Iran and America, and that Iran rejected it and is now coming back with their own counter to claim or counter offer for if there's going to be a ceasefire. Donald Trump is begging for a ceasefire. America is begging for a ceasefire with a country it started war with. I don't think that has literally ever happened, ever, in American history as far as I'm aware. America, the president of America, begging for a ceasefire from its enemy in a very, we're losing, please, let's just end this kind of way. I could be wrong. I'm not a big, war historian kind of guy, but if that had happened, I feel like the first time it ever did would have been a big deal historically. That would have been the kind of thing you'd learn about, you'd hear about it. It'd be like, oh, yeah, it was a shameful day for America. As a veteran, I don't find that surprising. Not sure what the fuck y'all thought was going to happen, electing a convicted felon, lols. Hey, listen, we didn't elect a convicted felon. I've been out here telling everybody, you vote blue no matter who, okay? Alright, we were part of the group that voted for Harris and called for people to vote for Harris, but sadly, the majority of Americans are indeed retarded. In retaliation of Old York being burned by Americans, Canada burned down the White House. That did happen, actually. I do remember that being a big thing. Yeah, Canada won the War of 1812. I voted for Harris. I voted for Harris 15 times. I shouldn't joke about that, because in this administration, they would use that joke to, I don't know, like throw me into a pit of acid and feed what's left to dogs or something. On national television. Well, that was quite the stun lock. Let's continue. EasyJet urges customers to book early and warns a potential summer price hike. EasyJet is advising Globetrotters to book air travel tickets early to avoid a potential price hike towards the end of the summer if the Middle East conflict continues, a spokesperson for the company told CNN. Oh yeah, flights around the holidays are going to get real expensive because of this, especially with all the shut down airspace. IDF says it struck Iran's only submarine research center. The IDF said it struck an underwater research center in Iran, an attack that it claimed has significantly stunted Iran's ability to make submarines. Iranian underwater submarine construction facility? Since when do we have underwater submarine construction facilities? As a species, not even as a country, but as humans. Since when was that a thing? Okay. That's the first time I'm hearing about it. Fucking sick. That's some Subnautica shit. The strike on Tuesday targeted the facility in Iran's central Isfahan province and has significantly limited Iran's ability to manufacture new and advanced submarines for the Iranian Navy, as well as upgrade its existing fleet, the IDF said Wednesday. According to the IDF, this center was the only one in Iran responsible for the design and development of submarines, as well as support systems for Iran's Navy. Oh boy. Amid U.S. diplomacy, Netanyahu says war in Iran is still ongoing. Yeah? Wasn't there like a thing about Netanyahu being dead? Whenever there's like, oh my god, is this person dead? If it's not Donald Trump, because with Donald Trump, that guy has to be on camera like once every 24 hours or he starts to suffocate like a fish. So if he hasn't been on camera in like a few days, it's like, oh shit, is it happening? Like that, when Donald Trump is missing and there's no explanation, that's when I lock in. But with anybody else, particularly with the Netanyahu, like, where's Netanyahu thing, I wasn't really jumping on that because I felt like, well, he's just gonna turn up on TV in a couple days for sure, or he's gonna come out and like be on a podcast or something like that. And sure enough, he's back saying meaningless nonsense while he orders the genocide and conquest of entire peoples. Good shit, Netanyahu. Evil, evil motherfucker. How the Iran war is renewing. I can't read today, apparently. I've lost my literacy. I guess Pachita ate it. How the Iran war is renewing demand for China's electric vehicles. Oh, yeah. Yeah, those oil prices, huh? To be clear, by the way, the oil price increases, or the gas price increases, are not what's the word for it? Proportional to the increase in oil price or the decrease in oil availability. Okay, the gas companies, they're absolutely overcharging. Oil companies are absolutely using this as an opportunity to pocket extra profit. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Gotta get an electric car. That's what you're gonna do. The Iran war has left energy-starved nations in Asia resorting to increasingly extreme measures to keep their economies afloat. Many consumers in the continent are turning to electric vehicles from China as an alternative. Man, feels like all the news coming out recently, and China gets another W. We really are. Like, if you're an American watching right now, and you're like under 70, you're definitely going to live to see America objectively lose first place at basically everything in the world to China. China's going to have a bigger population, a bigger cultural impact in the world, a bigger economy, more billionaires and millionaires, it's very much on a track to be there. And to be clear, that doesn't mean China's good or you would want America to be more like China. It's actually the fact that China sucks so much to live in compared to America, and yet, as a nation, it is catching W's due to, frankly, the bag fumbles committed by Donald Trump. Uh, it's unbelievable luck. Like China's just winning without even having to try at this point. More than 1,750 people killed in Iran, state media reports, citing official. I'm going to be honest, that's tragic, but also that goes to show how big of a threat Iran actually is compared to other nations the US has been at war with in recent history, where it's like, oh yeah, we've been in active war with this nation for weeks now. Yeah, only 1,700 casualties in their nation. That's a crazy fucking thought, by the way. Like that's not that many compared to literally any other situation where America rolls in and starts bombing cities. You know, like it's very clear Iran is not like other enemies that America has had. It is a first world nation and it doesn't fuck around. White House declines to commit to seek congressional authorization before deploying troops. Yeah, a big part of Donald Trump's whole thing is that he's just got the mandate of the people, so he doesn't need congressional approval for anything. Even things that have historically, famously, always required congressional approval, like declaring war. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt declined to promise that President Trump would seek congressional authorization before deploying troops in Iran, saying Monday only that, at this moment, it's unnecessary. Well, I guess that's her, not Trump saying that, but she's speaking for Trump. She's like the mouth of Sauron, but for Trump. The White House has reiterated the Iran war timeline is approximately 4 to 6 weeks. If this ends after 6 weeks, with Trump, like, finally getting Iran to agree to a ceasefire, you know for a fact that, like, a significant amount of MAGA people are going to be like, he did it, our goat Donald Trump, all because he manages to unfuck the situation he originally fucked up. White House reiterates that it will take 4 to 6 weeks. I think we're getting pretty close to that limit, by the way. The death toll once again climbs in the Middle East as strikes continue. As attacks continue across the Middle East, the death toll across the region is mounting, with new fatalities reported today in Iran, Lebanon, and Iraq. CNN is keeping a tally of figures released by regional authorities, though it is not able to independently verify these numbers. Here's what authorities have said about the number of people reportedly killed in the Middle East since the war began on February 28th. More than 1,750 people have been killed in Iran since the war began. Iran's deputy permanent representative to the International Maritime Organization said today. That's a crazy title. According to the state-run Islamic Republic News Agency, IRNA, the U.S.-based human rights activists news agency, HRANA, said yesterday that at least 1,455 civilians, including 217 children, and 1,167 military personnel have been killed in the same time frame. It categorized 669 other fatalities as unclassified since it was not yet determined whether they were civilian or military. In an update today, Lebanon's health ministry said that at least 1,094 people have been killed in Israeli strikes in the country since March 2nd. At least 121 children are among those killed, it said. At least 96 people have been killed across Iraq since the conflict began, according to authorities, including 7 Iraqi service members killed in an attack on a clinic associated with the country's defense ministry this morning. In the Kurdistan region, a semi-autonomous federal region of Iraq, at least 13 people have been killed since the start of the conflict, according to the Kurdistan regional government, including 6 Kurdish Peshmerga fighters killed yesterday. Fuck, dude. I don't know if you guys watch Civdiv, but I'm pretty sure the Peshmerga were who he fought with. He I think volunteered and fought with the Kurds, and I think that's who he was with, if I'm not mistaken. Anyone else here watch Civdiv? Want to confirm that? In Israel, at least 17 people have been killed by strikes since the war began, including a civilian who was killed by friendly fire. That's really sad, but I will say, including that, it's like, you lead with, okay, so Israel killed an Israeli. How very of Israel to kill its own civilian. Like, that's what's so fucked, is I hear Israel killed one of its own civilians, and I'm like, well, yeah. Like, of course. Of course. Of course. Evil. This figure does not include people who died indirectly because of strikes. A woman was also killed by Hezbollah rocket fire into northern Israel yesterday, according to Israeli emergency services. 2 Israeli soldiers were killed in Lebanon on March 8th, according to the Israeli military. And 13 U.S. service members have been killed since the start of the conflict. That is crazy. You know what's even crazier, though? I think there were a lot of experts that ran... basically, they ran simulations on how boots-on-the-ground invasions of Iran could go for America. And I think in the first week, it was predicted that something like 2,500 U.S. soldiers would die. Or it was something crazy like that. Granted, we're not, like, full boots in the ground in the way that those simulations suggested. Like, Donald Trump isn't going about this the way that America actually would go about trying to conquer and defeat Iran in a serious manner. But apparently if we did do that, predictions and simulations and estimates suggest, like, within a couple months, tens of thousands of dead U.S. troops. Like, this needs to end soon, or it's going to be bad. If it escalates further and Trump puts boots on the ground, it's going to get real nasty. Ooh, White House says it's too soon to say whether it is satisfied with Iran's new leadership post, killing the last guy. The White House also says that Iran talks not at a dead end despite initial resistance from Tehran to U.S. plan for a ceasefire. So, at least according to the White House, there's still a chance. There's still a chance for a ceasefire. There's still a chance for this war to end soon. How confident you are that they're not just bullshitting to try and calm down their voters and supporters, that's kind of on you to decide. White House says J.D. Vance's role in Iran talks hasn't changed. So I guess J.D. Vance is more of an active participant in negotiations with Iran, as he now appears to be taking a leading role in these talks. Well, that's great. The guy in charge of stopping this is J.D. Vance. Great. Fantastic. Lovely. Iran warns of possible Bab el-Mandeb front if military action targets southern Iran. I'm going to be honest, I've never heard of the Bab el-Mandeb front. This is a new one for me. Let's find out what that is. Oh, it's a strait. Oh, it's the other strait. It's the opposite. It's the heel of the Saudi Arabia boot. Okay. You got the heel, and then you got the tip. Strait of Hormuz is the tip. The Bab el-Mandeb Strait is the heel of the boot. That little part that just kind of gets real close to Africa. It's fine, guys. JD won't let us down. Exactly. What Iranians are saying about possible U.S.-Iran negotiations. Ordinary Iranians say they feel trapped between geopolitical posturing and the threat of war, frustrated, divided, and unsure of what comes next. Quote, I am so angry that nothing has changed, and that more likely nothing will happen or change that will benefit the Iranian people, one person said. Supposedly among citizens of Iran, there's a lot of pro-America sentiment. Granted, this could be some element of propaganda, over-exaggerating it to an extent, but at least from what I understand, like, time and time again, that has been kind of suggested to be the case. Apparently the people of Iran are not as anti-America than the government is, not by a long shot. White House says that talks with Iran have been productive, but also warns them. Ooh. I love how even when supposedly progress is being made towards establishing a peace, they still throw in a little bit of something to try and bait out more war. U.S. public dissatisfaction with the Iran war is very high, new poll shows. Oh boy. Public dissatisfaction with the Iran war is high, according to a set of new polls released Wednesday. Americans say 59% to 38% that the U.S. made the wrong decision in using military force in Iran, a new Pew Research survey finds. So 59 to 38% of Americans say that this war was a mistake. Damn. Whew. Iran acknowledges indirect exchange of messages with the US, but denies negotiations. Time to find out who's posturing. Is Iran posturing, or is the US posturing? Or am I, by burping so loudly? Excuse me, by the way. USPS says packages will cost more to ship due to rising fuel prices and war with Iran. Damn. Listen, don't give them any hate. The US Postal Service is genuinely one of the most goated parts of the US government. The USPS and the IRS are goated. Alright? They do nothing but make America money that is then spent under normal circumstances on things that are actually good, but right now it's a lot of war. And I guess, like, making sure trans people don't use the bathroom they want to use. However much money they've wasted on that initiative at this point. Because that's a real big issue we really need to give a single fuck about in the whole universe. There was bipartisan dissatisfaction among House Armed Service members over the Iran briefing. Members of the House Armed Services Committee said they were unsatisfied with a briefing by Trump administration officials over the war in Iran, its objectives and timeline, the latest sign of growing angst over the war effort, even among members of Trump's own party. The frustration arose as lawmakers are bracing for a supplemental request to fund the war effort and restock munitions used so far. Well, guys, we ran through all of today's breaking news about the war, and I think we can all see the trend loud and clear. Trump is cooked. He's cooked. I don't know what possessed him to think it was a good idea to run on no war ever, it's a waste of money, Democrats love war and war is woke somehow, and then to immediately do so much war in the most unpopular way possible, and to, like, lie nonstop, to, like, make America look weak by not essentially doing it competently. You know, I don't know. People are not a big fan of this. I mean, the people who voted this guy into office, one of the big points that they were voting for him on was the idea that he wasn't going to get us involved into any foreign wars where we'd be wasting our U.S. tax dollars on anything other than putting Americans first. And, you know, obviously I know that America First was originally a KKK slogan. I think it goes even further back than that. But it got popularized by the KKK and then obviously revitalized by Nick Fuentes, picked up by Trump and MAGA and stuff. But that idea, the words America First, not the actual ideology behind it, is very attractive to Americans for obvious reasons. And when Trump ran on that idea, he basically set him up to fail. He set himself up to fail and to bring the Republican Party down with him, reputationally, by so blatantly lying to his own supporters' faces. Honestly, I think that we're getting ever so closer to the satisfying, cathartic downfall of Donald Trump and this last 2 decades, I would say, of Republican establishment. What built up to Trump and what Trump established over the last 3 presidencies. Anyway, with that said, if you enjoyed this segment, if you liked my commentary, you liked what I had to say, then please consider leaving a like and a comment down below. It really does help a lot. I appreciate it immensely, and it's totally free, and it boosts the video in the algorithm, helps it to compete against the evil Epstein friend-run algorithm. I'm not joking about that, by the way. One of the owners of Google is a friend of Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not even memeing. So yeah, give us a fighting chance in the Chud algorithm. And make sure to subscribe so you see more from me. And if you want to support the channel directly, financially, help me, you know, fund the continued existence of the channel, then consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, or support the channel over on YouTube. And don't forget to follow my social medias linked down below as well, especially my fan Discord, which will be all but guaranteed to tell you when I go live or upload a new video, when other platforms, it's very hit or miss, let's be real. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you again in the next one.